Chapter 91, Better than worse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Back in Uzumaki City, Uchiha arranged for himself and his companion to stay at the Uchiha clan's business outpost, treating them to a good meal and a night's rest. The next morning, they joined a caravan heading back to Konoha. Both recovered quickly. Even though their usual diet was average, they rarely went hungry, and their physical condition hadn't suffered too much. Uchiha returned to the villa provided by the Fujita family to continue his work, harvesting souls and lifespan bit by bit. Almost 4 months flew by, bringing them to September 30th, Konoha 51, 10 days before Obito would instigate the Ninetales attack. That night, Uchiha harvested Seo Fujita and the last of the thugs sent by the Fujita family. Feeling the potent surge of his soul, Uchiha booked a top-tier suite at the World Hotel. After setting up a barrier, he began his attempt to unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan. The occipital lobe in the soul's striated area resonated with the occipital lobe in the brain's striated area. Soul power rapidly drained, converting into strands of specialized chakra that flowed continuously into his 3 open Sharingan eyes. The Sharingan began to transform, but the pace was agonizingly slow, nothing like the usual Mangekyo evolution. Typically, Mangekyo evolution is an all-or-nothing affair. Either it succeeds quickly, or it fails completely. There's no in-between. After 30 seconds, all the accumulated soul power was gone, but Uchiha felt no real change. He stopped the process, got up, and looked at his reflection in the bathroom mirror. His Sharingan was still the 3-tomo version, but the tomo were more slender and looked as though they were beginning to connect. Uchiha figured he had enough power remaining to connect the tomo, but taking that final leap into a new pattern would be a struggle. If he couldn't fully transform the pattern, the partially connected tomo would set him apart from other Uchiha, attracting unwanted attention. As it was, the slightly more slender tomo weren't likely to raise suspicion. Still, something felt off. He thought the soul power he'd consumed should have been enough to fully evolve the 3-tomo. He'd overestimated it, and it still wasn't enough. Based on his current progress, he guessed it would take a quarter of the soul power he'd amassed over the past 9 months. Was this because unconventional evolution demanded more specialized chakra than the standard method? Or was it because his future Mangekyo's abilities were exceptionally powerful, requiring an extra dose of special chakra? Or maybe something else was going on. He hoped it was the second reason. After all, a good meal was worth waiting for. If he could unlock some game-breaking ability like Kamui, he wouldn't mind grinding for a few more years. You need immortality for consistent output, they say. And what's more valuable than an ability that keeps you alive? Where there's life, there's hope. His current Sharingan sat somewhere between the 3-tomo and Mangekyo states. It wasn't the best, but it was better than nothing. The soul power he'd spent hadn't been a total waste. Concealing his Sharingan, Uchiha left the bathroom and went back to bed. The next morning, he checked out of the hotel, grabbed some breakfast, and left the land of whirlpools, returning to Konoha. 10 days wasn't enough time to harvest the souls he needed, so there was no point in staying in Uzumaki City any longer. About half a day later, Konoha came into view. Uchiha landed Jurong in the forest, then made his way back to the village. Things were as he'd left them. He dropped off messages for Orochimaru, cancelled the fake notifications, did a quick clean, and crashed for a nap. There's no place like home, as they say. The Fujita family had provided him with a nice private residence, and while the World Hotel's top suites were certainly more luxurious, they weren't nearly as comfortable or secure as his own place. He relaxed until evening, lost in a good book. Then, Uchiha finally set the book down and went to the kitchen to start dinner. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. He stopped cooking and went to see who it was. A small crowd of people stood outside, each carrying gifts. It was Yuichi Uchiha and Mori Uchiha, who, along with their families, had come to thank him for saving them. Despite feeling guilty, Uchiha acted as though nothing was amiss and welcomed them inside. No matter how you sliced it, kidnapping clansmen for experimentation was wrong. Even if he deliberately spared their lives, it was still wrong. Uchiha recognized his own double standards, but he wasn't about to confuse right and wrong. He was lenient with others and stricter with himself. After a good time, Yuichi and Mori Uchiha left with their families. Watching them from the second floor, Uchiha saw 2 families laughing, happy, and affectionate. He smiled. Sometimes, things just worked out. His underhanded scheme had not only eased his conscience but also averted 2 tragedies in this brutal ninja world, totally worth it. Once the families disappeared from view, Gen Uchiha hummed a tune and went back to the kitchen to finish dinner. He was a little tired of all the rich food he had been eating in the Whirlpool City, so he'd make something lighter tonight. After dinner, Gen Uchiha settled back on the sofa with his book while Zhu Rong and Wu Xing played in the room. Even though he lived alone, he never felt bored or lonely. Gen Uchiha was used to it from his previous life. The doorbell rang again. Zhu Rong and Wu Xing immediately froze, one returning to his arms, the other back into its sheath. Gen Uchiha opened the door to find Shisui and Itachi. He grinned, welcomed them in, and offered them each a juice. Shisui glanced at the table, now covered with juices, dried fruit, snacks, and various packaged treats, and said, "Xian, you're living the good life. It's not like me, always busy." He smiled as he said this, his tone light. There was no real complaint, just a touch of envy. Ha! Want to trade places? He definitely didn't want to be an ANBU ninja, but that didn't stop him from teasing Shisui. Shisui quickly waved his hands. Nah, I don't like being too idle. I prefer a life that has purpose. A natural-born workhorse. If the bosses could hear this, they would be pleased. Gen Uchiha chuckled, letting the subject drop. He turned to Itachi with a warm smile. Itachi, make yourself at home. Grab whatever you want. Thank you, brother Xian. Hey, I'm a brother too, you know. Itachi replied with a cheerful expression. His eyes sparkled, seeming not to worry about the love that his parents gave after Sasuke was born. This was a normal sentiment. The Uchiha clan had many brothers. Mikoto had her baby, huh? When was he born? July 23rd, father named him Sasuke. It seemed Fugaku Uchiha really admired Sarutobi Hiruzen. He must have been hooked after Sarutobi was attached to Minato Namikaze. He still named his second son Sasuke. In this time and place, Fugaku Uchiha no longer needed to name his son Sasuke to appease Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Sasuke was the founder of the Sarutobi clan after Konoha village was established. He was well versed in the 5 chakra natures and was considered a powerful figure from the Warring States period. Chapter 92 Itachi's Rebellious Thoughts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's worth noting that while the Sarutobi and Shimura clans weren't on the same level as the Senju and Uchiha during the Warring States period, they were still considered powerful and held significant influence, so when Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha teamed up to found Konoha, they were genuinely excited to have the Sarutobi and Shimura clans join them. Otherwise, their enthusiasm would have seemed excessive if we were only talking about ordinary, smaller families. These 2 major families could arguably be called Konoha's founding fathers, and while their contributions ranked below those of the Senju and Uchiha, they still mattered. It's great to be back, even though I missed the celebration. I'm going to see Mikoto tomorrow morning. Mom will be thrilled you're visiting, Xian. Gen Uchiha nodded slightly. You 2 just happened to stop by tonight? Is everything alright? Yeah, we heard you were back. It's been a while, so we wanted to say hi. I appreciate that. How's the ANBU treating you? It's alright. Seriously? After all this time, you're still just a squad leader. There's no opening. Gen Uchiha's face darkened. A Hokage's disciple, a genius Uchiha Jonin with a stellar record, and after all this time, still stuck as a squad leader. That's messed up. Shisui, I'm the deputy captain of the police force and I lead a Jonin team. Aren't you speaking up? Shisui hesitated, at a loss for words. Seeing Shisui's reaction, Gen Uchiha knew he probably hadn't been pushing for a change. Are the ANBU's minister and deputy minister still the 3rd Hokage's eldest son and daughter-in-law? Yes. Are they holding you back? No. Really? Is being kept busy a sign they value me, or are they holding me back? Shisui asked cautiously. Gen Uchiha just stared at him. If you get promoted after being busy, it's because they value you. If not, you're being held back, unless you're just bad at your job. So, how's your mission success rate? Shisui lowered his head. I haven't failed once. Itachi Uchiha frowned, understanding that this was deliberate suppression. Sigh, Shisui, you don't get why the family and the Hokage wanted you in ANBU. The family wants you to rack up accomplishments, get promoted, expand your influence, and position yourself to compete for Hokage someday. The Hokage put you in ANBU to strengthen ties with the Uchiha, and also hopes you'll work your way up and eventually take control of the ANBU for him. But you can't do that if you don't fight for it. Shisui suddenly understood, so that's it, but what? But the two ministers always follow the Hokage's orders. Normally, yeah, but what happens if the third Hokage and the fourth Hokage disagree? Who do you think Sarutobi Shinnosuke and his wife will listen to then? Shisui started to say that they would listen to the current Hokage, but knew that was unrealistic and stopped himself. The third Hokage is still a Hokage, and those two are family. Assuming they will listen to the current Hokage, too good to be true. Shisui, you need to understand that power isn't just automatically given to you when you reach a certain rank. Power is about how much you can influence and control people. In other words, if someone has enough influence and control, they could practically take over as Hokage, even if they aren't officially in the position. I'm not saying the third Hokage is ignoring the current Hokage entirely. The Hokage still has authority. But it's more like the third Hokage chooses not to step on toes, not that he's incapable. After all, the current Hokage hasn't been in power long, and his foundation isn't that deep. Even with the Uchiha's full support, he can't match the third Hokage's influence with the major families and the village's ninja in such a short time. As a disciple, your role is to keep the Hokage from being pushed aside, even if the chances of a falling out between the two Hokage are slim. We, the Uchiha clan, support the Hokage, including the Hokage's teachers and mentors. After hearing this analysis, Itachi Uchiha, who was eating his sweets, looked at Uchiha Gen with admiration. He had learned a lot today, Shisui said with a wry smile. Shien, I get it. Politics are so complicated. I wish I had your political mind. Also, why didn't the clan leader and the Hokage tell me this clearly? If they had, then. Gen Uchiha smiled. If they spelled it out, how would the leader avoid any blame? Being deliberately vague is practically a requirement for any good leader. Alright, well, it's not too late to understand now. Let's just work harder from now on. Right, I will. That the two talked about other things for a while, and around 9 o'clock, Shisui and Itachi said goodbye and left. At 10 o'clock the next morning, Gen Uchiha arrived at the clan leader's house carrying 2 boxes of supplements, and was welcomed inside by Itachi. Come on in, why'd you bring so much? Uchiha Mikoto, holding a swaddled baby, looked at him with mock anger. If I showed up empty-handed, I'd really be lacking in etiquette, right? The clan leader and you have been so good to me, I had to return the favor. It's just a small token, nothing serious, Gen Uchiha said with a smile. Don't bring anything next time. Itachi, help me with these. Uchiha Gen handed the gift boxes to Itachi, then walked over to Uchiha Mikoto. Is this Sasuke? He's so cute. Uchiha Mikoto was wearing a jet black loose top with a square neckline, revealing her slender white neck and delicate collarbones. She was wearing a jet black knee-length skirt, revealing her shapely white calves. As he got closer, the faint milky aroma mixed with a fresh fragrance tickled his nose. It smelled wonderful. Thank you. Would you like to hold him? Uchiha Mikoto was smiling, her gentleness revealed by her motherly nature, and her charm was even more striking than usual. Can I? Of course. Just support Sasuke's neck and bottom. He's only 2 months old and still fragile. Got it. Gen Uchiha reached out and took Sasuke from Uchiha Mikoto. Sasuke was wide awake. He stared at the stranger in front of him with wide, dark, clear eyes. He was slightly stunned, then opened his mouth and started to wail. Wah! Uchiha Gen quickly made a whistling noise to get Sasuke's attention. Uchiha Mikoto also moved closer, so Sasuke could see her. His attention caught, and seeing a familiar face, Sasuke stopped crying and started giggling instead. Seeing Sasuke smile, Uchiha Gen and Uchiha Mikoto laughed too. Uchiha Itachi, who had put away the gifts, saw this scene, and the thought they make a good couple inexplicably popped into his head. Itachi was startled by his own thoughts and quickly pushed the idea away, but, honestly, Shien and his mom do look good together. One is handsome and the other is pretty and quiet. While his dad wasn't ugly, he wasn't exactly handsome either. Itachi owed his good looks to his mom. He hoped his younger brother would inherit his mother's looks, otherwise, it wouldn't be easy to chase girls in the future. Given how mature the ninja world was, a little girl had already confessed her feelings to Itachi. Chapter 93 Frog comes to the door. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is Shien around? There are 3 girls waiting for you at your door. The little rascal was back in his mother's arms. Gen Uchiha was hanging out with Mikoto and Madara Uchiha in the living room when someone hollered from outside. Yo! Be right there. Gen Uchiha answered loud and clear. No problem, see ya in a sec. Mikoto Uchiha covered her mouth, giggling. Shien, you're a popular guy. 3 beautiful girls come looking for you as soon as you get back. They're my team members, my junior ninjas, Gen Uchiha said, smiling slightly. So? Putting them on your team means you probably have your eye on at least one. Can't pull anything over on you, Mikoto. Why limit it to one? Go for the whole set. Gotta think bigger. Actually, I promised them ninjutsu training if they performed well while I was gone. That's probably why they're here, Gen Uchiha said with a small smile. Is that so? Mikoto Uchiha smiled knowingly. Go on, get going. Hey, big brother Shien, can I tag along? Itachi Uchiha hesitated for a moment. Itachi, what do you want to do? Wouldn't you just be in the way of Shien? Mikoto Uchiha's tone was a little sterner. I want to see what brother Shien can do. If you're teaching ninjutsu, brother Shien will have to show us, right? Itachi said, steeling himself. He knew a little about Shursui's abilities, but nothing about Shien's. All he knew was what he heard from other Uchiha, that he was seriously powerful. He didn't want to miss this chance. Mikoto Uchiha suddenly looked conflicted, unsure whether to encourage him or not. Sure, come on along, Itachi. Too many cooks spoil the broth, but it's no big deal. Itachi was confused. What was that supposed to mean? But Mikoto, who had been around the block a few times, considered the words carefully and understood their deeper meaning. I didn't know Shien was so insightful about relationships. He really is a genius. Okay, Itachi, go ahead. Yes, Mom. Gen Uchiha stood up and bowed slightly. See ya, Mikoto. Come by and visit when you have time. Will do. Soon, Gen Uchiha arrived at his door, where 3 girls were leaning against the wall, chatting. Team leader. The 3 girls straightened up quickly when they saw Gen Uchiha, bowing respectfully. They were usually casual with each other, but there was still a time and place for proper etiquette. Well, it's been a minute. You've all gotten taller and even prettier. 10 months was all it took for Kurenai and Enko to go from awkward teens to, well, a little less awkward. Shizen's face didn't show the changes so clearly. This is Itachi Uchiha, the clan leader's oldest son. The clan leader's oldest son. So, that meant he'd be running the Uchiha show one day. Hi, everyone, Itachi Uchiha said, bowing politely. Kurenai, Enko, and Shizen quickly returned the greetings, all smiles and warmth. After the pleasantries were over, Gen Uchiha led the way back to his place, then took the 4 of them to the clan's training grounds. How did the mission go? 98% completion rate. Uchiha Gen was technically second in command, so Kurenai, no longer the squad leader, answered proudly. Enko and Shizen were clearly proud too. That was a seriously high completion rate, even more impressive coming from a squad of all-female ninjas. Great work. Now it's my turn to make good on my promise. With that, Gen Uchiha pulled 3 scrolls as thick as a man's thumb from his windbreaker pocket, black with red stripes, and tossed them to the three girls. Kurenai, yours is a B-rank genjutsu, Shiranui. Anko, yours is a B-rank fire-style ninjutsu, dust cloud technique. Shizun, yours is a B-rank ninjutsu, vacuum sword. With their current strength and skills, they could master B-rank ninjutsu with his guidance, turning it into a reliable ace in the hole. A-rank ninjutsu was out of the question. Even if they could learn it, they wouldn't have the chakra to pull it off, and even if they could force it, they'd be completely wiped out afterward. B-rank was just more practical. Not everyone had the chakra and the talent of Naruto and Sasuke. Genjutsu's hard to demonstrate, so we'll skip Shiranui for now. Kurenai, hit me up later if you need help. Same goes for you too. Come ask me if you're having trouble down the line. Now I'll show you the other two ninjutsu. Pay attention. The three girls nodded quickly, trying to contain their excitement as they locked their eyes on Gen Uchiha. Gen Uchiha started forming hand seals, deliberately going slow so Anko could follow along. Fire style, dust cloud technique, a ball of superheated flames and burning dust erupted from Uchiha Gen's mouth. As the dust fell to the ground, it quickly spread outwards, covering half of the training grounds in a single breath. The four onlookers were blown away, marveling at his sheer chakra, the evolution of his Sharingan to the three-tomo stage, and the near completion in Whirlpool Country, had all fed chakra back to Uchiha Gen. While Uchiha Gen's chakra wasn't up to par with those chakra monsters just yet, it was still on par with your average Kage-level powerhouse, if his Sharingan ever evolved. To the Mangekyo, he'd be swimming in chakra, even by Kage standards. This ninjutsu can cover your tracks and hit your enemy. It's a great offense-defense combo. Plus, it's killer against Kirigakure ninjas using Hidden Mist. One wrong move and they're toast. Anko's eyes lit up. That fire-style ninjutsu wasn't in the scrolls she got from Orochimaru. She'd definitely have to master this. Next up, the ninja taijutsu, vacuum sword. Gen Uchiha formed a seal with both hands, then drew the Kusanagi sword from his waist, slashing horizontally. A web-shaped wind blade, pushed by gale-force winds, ripped through the air, blasting away some of the burning dust and cutting through the ground. When you're just starting out, you'll need the hand seals. But once you get a feel for the wind attribute, you won't need them anymore. It will be like Muji ninjutsu, like so. Uchiha Gen shifted his stance, legs shoulder-width apart, and brought the Kusanagi sword down in a powerful, vertical strike. The web of wind blades, carried by the strong winds, descended from the sky, scattering the cloud of dust and triggering a series of explosions. When the smoke cleared, a deep, crisscrossed ravine was visible on the ground, showing exactly where the web-shaped wind blades had struck. Wow, Captain, that was awesome. Thanks, Captain. Shizun said, genuinely impressed. The vacuum sword ninjutsu was perfect for her. It drew on her sword skills and one of her chakra types. Once she got the hang of it, she'd learn it fast. Anko and Kurenai heaped on the praise as well. With Uchiha Itachi chiming in, Uchiha Gen was soon drowning in compliments, but the girls weren't just sucking up. They wanted to thank Gen Uchiha with some barbecue that night. After that, the three girls said their goodbyes and scurried off to start training with their new ninjutsu. There was still some time left in the morning, so Uchiha Gen agreed to Itachi's request, giving him a bit of training before heading home for lunch at noon. The next day, Uchiha Gen had dinner with Orochimaru. In the days that followed, Uchiha Gen wandered around Konoha after his training. Even with Konoha being rebuilt to its original appearance, it wouldn't be exactly the same after the Ninetales attack. He wanted to soak it in, just in case. Before he knew it, it was 10:30 p.m. on October 9. Minato Namikaze had just gotten back from the Hokage's office, bone-tired, and was sitting down to dinner with Kushina. At the same time, in the dimly lit hallway of their apartment building, a frog, red-eyed and green-skinned, hopped up the stairs toward Minato's door. When the frog reached the door, it leapt high, bashing its head against the doorbell. It fell back down, landing in plain sight, and stopped moving. Chapter 94 Digging a Hole. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the dining room, Minato was having a midnight snack while Kushina watched him, her belly big, a smile playing on her lips as she teased him. "Hey, who's at the door this late?" "I'll get it." "No way, you're moving slow." "I'll go." Minato was already up and heading for the door. He glanced around but didn't see anyone, until he noticed a green frog with faint red eyes. Confused, Minato scratched his head, then knelt and picked up the frog. "Minato, who is it?" "Nobody." Minato shut the door, a puzzled look on his normally bright face, and returned to the dining room. "Found this." "Hey, what's that?" Minato was about to hand the frog to Kushina when he noticed something odd in its mouth. He reached in, pinched, and pulled, extracting a green-skinned scroll, as thick as a man's finger, with white stripes. He put the frog on the table, unrolled the scroll, and squinted at the tiny writing. "Tomorrow night, a mysterious figure, suspected to be Uchiha Madara, will attack Konoha, attempting to release and capture the Nine Tails to destroy the village. The mysterious figure possesses a space-time ability, allowing him to shift himself or objects around him into different dimensions, making him immune to attacks. The maximum duration of this ability is 5 minutes. The mysterious figure can also use wood style. Furthermore, if the Jinchuriki survives the initial extraction of the tailed beast, they can be revived by resealing the tailed beast within them." Uchiha Gen didn't reveal Obito's identity, hoping to trick Obito into making a fatal mistake. After all, Minato had defeated Obito quickly in the original timeline, with no intel. If Obito hadn't incorporated so many high-quality Hashirama cells, granting him incredible vitality, the Rasengan might have killed him. What if, instead of that, Minato Namikaze immediately recognized Obito, giving Minato, as a father figure, the chance to turn Obito back to the light? People can change drastically, but they can't erase their past entirely. There's always a trace of lingering affection. Did the corrupted Uchiha Obito truly believe everything Uchiha Madara said? Madara's infinite Tsukimi plan sounded bizarre, unbelievable, and even delusional. Uchiha Gen believed that Obito, though brainwashed, wasn't entirely lost. A flicker of hope remained, that his Hokage teacher could recognize him, stop him, redeem him, and show him a brighter path. Sadly, Minato didn't recognize him. This might have been the final straw for Obito. But could Minato be blamed? Changing his hairstyle, height, mask, black robe, and voice was a ridiculous expectation for Minato to recognize him. Even Rin Noara wouldn't have recognized him, right? Obito was presumed dead, his name on a memorial stone, without a clue. Who would think to look for a dead person? Kenji's thinking was simply incomprehensible. Uchiha Gen didn't want Obito redeemed, even if the odds were slim. Namikaze Minato, unaware of Obito's identity, would face an enemy full of malice, threatening his wife and child, and attacking Konoha. He'd be merciless and swift. If Minato killed Obito, many things would be easier. Black Zetsu would never abandon his goal of reviving his mother, but without Obito, his task would become far more difficult. Minato's first thought was that it was a prank, but then suspicion crept in. "Minato, what's wrong?" Seeing the change in his expression, Kushina asked, curious. "Kushina, take a look at this." Minato handed her the scroll, his face serious, then performed a sensing jutsu, scanning a kilometer radius around the house, but found nothing. The results worried him. If it wasn't a prank, then someone had deliberately sent it. Who? Was there such a talented person hidden within Konoha? His sensory ninjutsu hadn't detected a trace. Was it true that a mysterious figure, suspected to be Uchiha Madara, would attack Konoha and capture the Nine Tails tomorrow night? Tomorrow was Kushina's due date. Their son, Naruto, would definitely be born at least the day after tomorrow. The green frog was controlled by Gen Uchiha through a fragment of his soul. He had only left a trace, and he returned to his original body after ringing the doorbell. With the soul's speed in the void, it could return instantly. Thus, Namikaze Minato wouldn't be able to detect a single trace. This. "Minato, what do you think?" Kushina, surprised and confused, looked at Minato. Namikaze Minato had calmed down. "Prank or not, better safe than sorry. This is too important. We can't risk Konoha's or the child's safety. I plan to make preparations, strengthen the guard, and inform the third Hokage for his input. Okay. I'll be right back. Minato lost his appetite. He said goodbye to Kushina, left home, and headed for Hiruzen Sarutobi's residence. Since Minato hadn't placed a Flying Thunder God seal at Sarutobi Hiruzen's house, he had to travel there the normal ninja way. Just after Minato left, a white figure emerged from a tree across from Minato's house, then silently melded back into the tree, even without the Flying Thunder God technique. Minato was incredibly fast and arrived at Hiruzen Sarutobi's mansion in seconds. Hiruzen Sarutobi was getting ready for bed when he heard that Minato was visiting. He quickly changed and came out to greet him. Hiruzen Sarutobi knew Minato's character. He wouldn't come unannounced this late unless it was urgent. As Minato entered the house, a white figure emerged from the ground in Sarutobi Hiruzen's front yard and vanished. Minato, what's happened? Hiruzen Sarutobi, pipe in hand, opened the tea room door, sat down, and got straight to the point. Third Hokage, this is what happened. Minato handed over the scroll, explaining the situation. Hiruzen Sarutobi frowned as he read it and began to think. After a moment, Namikaze Minato asked, Third Hokage, what do you think? Hiruzen Sarutobi blew a smoke ring and said solemnly, regardless of the sender, we'd better be safe than sorry. If the Nine Tails escapes, it will be a catastrophe. If it falls into enemy hands, it will be devastating for Konoha. If it's a false alarm, then great. We'll track down the prankster and punish him severely. Namikaze Minato nodded solemnly. I agree. I won't risk Konoha, Kushina, or Naruto. What are you planning to do? Chapter 95 Coping. You are listening at novelfull.audio. First, they need to figure out who spilled the beans. A flicker of deadly intent sharpened Minato's gaze. Gone was his usual sunny demeanor, replaced by a chillingly serious tone. Kushina's delivery date and location were top secret, known only to a handful of people in Konoha. How could an outsider possibly know? Either a spy had burrowed deep, or a traitor was in their midst. We need a full investigation, starting tonight, Minato said. If we move fast, we might find a trail and set a trap for anyone with malicious intentions. Hiruzen Sarutobi chimed in, his voice grave. On my way here, I already had the Umbu start looking into the relevant personnel. The Umbu alone aren't enough, Minato countered. Let's bring in the interrogation unit as well. Now, hold on. Sarutobi hesitated. This is too important to hold back, Minato insisted. Alright, Sarutobi conceded. Involving the interrogation unit meant not just routine checks, but also using torture techniques to see if suspects were lying. It wouldn't be pretty, but while the interrogators were trained to avoid permanent damage, it was still torture. We need to look into not only the medical ninjas who examined Kushina, but also everyone she interacts with daily, Minato continued. But those people don't know the exact date, let alone the location. Sarutobi pointed out. Even so, we can't be too careful. We can leave them to the Umbu's regular investigation, Sarutobi decided. No need for the interrogation unit for them. Agreed. Sandem-sama, I'm planning to send more Umbu to guard Kushina on the day of her birth and change the location, Minato said. They couldn't control when Naruto decided to arrive, that was up to fate. But they could control where he was born. That's the right call, Sarutobi agreed. I'd also like you to come with me, Sandem-sama. Wouldn't that be inconvenient? Sarutobi asked. As an elder, what inconvenience could there be in standing guard? Minato countered. With you there, I can better protect Kushina and Sarutobi-sama's wife, and you can help me take down any enemies. If the intel is true, we'll be facing some tricky opponents. Very well. Sarutobi agreed. In that case, I'll head back, Minato said. In a flash, Minato vanished, using his Flying Thunder God technique to return home. Kushina, waiting anxiously, immediately peppered Minato with questions. To put her mind at ease, Minato explained his plan and asked her about her daily interactions, for herself, her child, and the safety of Konoha. Kushina held nothing back. Since Kakashi and Mikoto Uchiha were involved, Minato decided to take care of them himself. As for Kakashi, Minato planned to just go through the motions. He couldn't believe Kakashi would be a spy or a traitor. In the original timeline, Kakashi had once mentioned Kushina's upcoming birth in front of the memorial stone, with Obito nearby, but even in the anime, they were quite a distance away. Unless Obito had some kind of super hearing jutsu, there was no way he could have overheard. Lip reading was also out of the question. Even if Obito knew how, he was standing to the side of Kakashi, making it impossible to see his lips clearly. As for Mikoto, Minato decided to send his student, Shisui Uchiha. It wasn't appropriate for other Umbu to be involved, not only because she was the clan leader's wife, but also because she was Kushina's closest friend. Mikoto knew that Kushina was due soon, but she didn't know the exact date or location. The truth was, Obito learned the specifics from White Zetsu. Not only were White Zetsu's numbers impressive, but their mobility, concealment, and transformation abilities made them the perfect intel-gathering tools. With everything taken care of, Minato went home to get some rest. Despite his worries, the veteran of many wars was asleep in no time. Meanwhile, Umbu and interrogation unit ninjas rounded up and screened suspects throughout the night. After receiving the summons, Shisui Uchiha, surprised, paid his respects to the head of his clan that very night. Shisui's late-night visit woke up the whole family, and the youngest, Sasuke, burst into tears. Fugaku was no good at comforting kids, and Mikoto was busy, so it fell to Itachi. Itachi, however, knew a thing or two about soothing babies, and Sasuke was soon asleep. The review process was simple. Shisui, acting on behalf of the Hokage, asked some questions. The truth was that Mikoto was above suspicion. The old saying fireproof, theft-proof, and best friends didn't apply here. These two were genuinely close, and there was no worry of betrayal. Besides, the Uchiha had no reason to betray Konoha. Even when Madara Uchiha left, none of the clan followed him, cutting ties with him completely. Now that the clan had a Hokage's disciple among them, their relationship with the village was improving, and their future looked bright. It would be foolish to throw that away by siding with someone who threatened Konoha. After questioning Mikoto and confirming there were no issues, Shisui left. Even though they knew something was up, Fugaku and Mikoto wisely refrained from asking questions. The next day at work, Minato asked about the results of the review. They showed that neither the medical ninjas nor Kushina's acquaintances were acting suspiciously. This puzzled Minato. If no one was acting out of the ordinary, how did the information leak? Unable to figure it out, Minato pushed it aside for now, focusing on the pile of paperwork in front of him. On the evening of October 10th, deep in the forest near the Konoha Memorial Stone, Obito, cloaked in black and wearing a white-on-black mask, sat casually on a tree limb, one leg dangling. Suddenly, a white Zetsu emerged halfway from the tree trunk. Obito, the situation has changed. Oh. Obito tilted his head. According to intel from clones everywhere, the fourth Hokage went to see the third Hokage last night. That same night, a medical ninja who knew the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki's birth date was taken in for questioning, along with people close to her. I spent the entire day investigating and found out that the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki's delivery location has been changed. The number of Umbu guarding the location has increased several times, and the third Hokage is also personally guarding it. I hate to say it, but it looks like your plan has been compromised. Ha ha ha. Obito laughed loudly, then said, each word carefully enunciated, no, that's not possible. Absolutely not. Besides you, only Black Zetsu knows about my plan. How could it have been leaked? Suddenly struck by a thought, Obito glared at White Zetsu. Did you tell your clones? And one of them messed up, didn't they? How could I tell those idiots? White Zetsu shook his head. Besides, all my clones are intact, and no one has discovered them. Huh. That's strange. Obito rubbed his chin, his face under the mask furrowed in confusion. Didn't you have a clone investigate why those people were being questioned? Chapter 96. Do you understand the value of Mudun? You are listening at novelfull.audio. I checked, but the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki's friends are clueless about the situation. The medical ninja with intel on creating the Ninetales Jinchuriki is locked down deep in the torture and interrogation division. That place is crawling with barriers, sensor ninjas, and umbu loyal to the enemy. Trying to make contact right now is way too risky. Obito Uchiha gave a slight nod. He definitely didn't want to tip their hand, even with White Zetsu's killer mobility, stealth, and transformation skills, they weren't unbeatable. Screw it. If we can't find out, we can't find out. Maybe there's something going on inside Konoha we don't know about. Doesn't matter. A few extra umbu aren't going to change anything, Obito said confidently. Obito, don't forget the third Hokage. They call him the ninja professor and the hero of the leaf. Obito's face darkened. So, with a hostage and Kamui, what can the third Hokage even do? Obito countered coldly. When the Ninetales starts wrecking Konoha, how's the third generation going to stop me? Obito hadn't mastered all of Madara Uchiha's secrets yet, but his power was growing fast, and so was his ego. He felt this overwhelming confidence, like he could go wherever he wanted, do whatever he wanted, and nobody could stop him. You're right. Your Kamui is a real game changer. So, we stick to the original plan. Obito shook his head. No. We tweak it. Opportunities like this to create a Ninetales Jinchuriki don't come along every day. What's the new play? Activate all the Zetsu clones in Konoha. They'll pose as spies from other villages and hit the umbu outside the barrier. Tie some of them up, pull others away. Think that'll work? Oh, and make sure those fake spies look like they're from the Hidden Mist. Obito clearly had a serious grudge against the Hidden Mist. Attacking and drawing off the Konoha umbu? Fine. But pinning it on the Mist Village is gonna be tough. Zetsu cautioned. My clones aren't exactly combat experts. They don't know water-style jutsu or any Mist Village secret techniques. Plus, their true form is revealed when they're killed. Doesn't matter. We just need to plant the seed of doubt. Obito dismissed his concerns. Alright. I'll get it done. Just don't be late. White Zetsu vanished into the tree trunk, using the underground route network to move at top speed. I won't be late again. Obito vowed. He jumped up to the empty Konoha memorial stone, to Rin Nohara's grave, and just stood there, staring at her picture. Obito had kept Rin's body safe. This was just a memorial, but he came here whenever he had the chance. He didn't know why. After a while, he reached out and gently touched her picture, and a real smile flickered across his face under the mask, but it was gone in an instant. The air around him warped, and Obito vanished into the void. Meanwhile, in the Uchiha district, on the west side, Gen Uchiha stood on his roof, arms crossed, leaning against the chimney, looking off into the distance. The moon was huge and bright behind him. The cool night wind made his loose black robe flutter. Looks like we aren't evacuating early. Yeah. The info I sent was just a possibility. Strong people are always cocky about their power. No reason to go to war over something like that, but still. Hokage-sama, are you sure you're ready for Obito Uchiha? Powering up 3 times from White Zetsu and 10 times from the blackening process, that's not just hearsay. It'd be a joke if you couldn't kill Obito and you couldn't stop Obito, causing Konoha to be heavily destroyed like in the original timeline. Well, I've done what I can do. Whether we make it through this depends on fate. No, it depends on the Hokage. Gen glanced at the busy village, then jumped off the roof and went back to bed. If the Ninetales showed up in Konoha like last time, there wouldn't be any sleep for anyone. Better get it while I can roar. Around 11, Gen was jolted awake by a deafening roar, laced with pure malice. He shot up, scrambled through the window, and onto the roof barefoot. There it was, a mountain of orange-red fur and 9 tails, standing in the middle of Konoha, howling at the moon. Its tails thrashed, creating powerful gusts of wind. The size difference between the complete 9 tails and the yin-yang split 9 tails was insane. The split version was only about a quarter the size of the original. The full 9 tails, complete Susanoo, and Hashirama would Golem were all in the same weight class, half Ninetales, the other tailed beasts, the Sandine summons, the Mount Mayaboku toads, the Pain summons, and the demonic statue of the outer path were all a step below. 6 Paths Naruto's half Ninetales was a special case. Because of his 6 Paths chakra, he could boost it to the same level as a complete Susanoo. Well, the Ninetales is out. Guess I didn't trick Obito into a bad end. Minato Namikaze isn't that powerful. I told you about Obito's abilities. Do you even understand the value of wood release? Your attack was aimed at Obito's head. It blew his head open. No matter how powerful his vitality and recovery power are, it's probably useless. Even if that guy Haiden had his head blown off, he wouldn't be able to survive. Maybe. Jen wasn't so sure. Haiden had been torn to pieces, but his head had never been destroyed in the original timeline. Was my time in office too short? Didn't have time to read the files. Still couldn't find a chance to blow Obito's head off. Whatever. What's done is done. Let's make the most of it. I may not have the lightning-fast reflexes of someone like Minato, but my reaction time has improved since I got the soul fruit. I'm pretty quick now. But I don't know if I have the talent to learn spacetime ninjutsu. Jen made a hand sign. Poof, a clone appeared beside him. Hide. Use the chaos as cover. Sneak into the Hokage's house, find the forbidden scroll, and memorize as many jutsu as you can. If things get hairy, just grab the Flying Thunder God technique. If you can't find it at the Hokage's, hit up the 4th and 3rd old places. They're empty now. Spiritualization let his soul travel, but his body was stuck. If he could learn Flying Thunder God, his body could travel, too. The possibilities were endless. Got it. The shadow clone grinned and leapt off the roof, disappearing into the night. The forbidden scroll was always with the Hokage. It wasn't kept in the Hokage Tower or the secret library. It was in the Hokage's residence, not Sarutobi Hiruzen's or Minato Namikaze's home, but the official residence that every Hokage used. It held all the forbidden scrolls and confidential documents, the same as the Hokage's official residence. Sarutobi Hiruzen used to live there when he wasn't abdicating the throne. After stepping down, he went back to the Sarutobi clan's home. By all rights, Minato Namikaze should live in the Hokage's official residence, but since there wasn't a hard and fast rule, Minato and Kushina stayed in their own house, so, the scroll was in 3 places, the Hokage residence, Sarutobi Hiruzen's house, and Namikaze Minato's house, whether there was a Hokage living there or not. The Hokage's residence was always guarded by Umbu and a strict barrier. Naruto was only able to steal the scroll because Sarutobi Hiruzen ordered the Anbu away and disabled the barrier, letting him run wild with the sexy jutsu. Orochimaru had been able to learn so many jutsu. Except for the ones Hiruzen Sarutobi had taught him, the forbidden techniques were stolen from the Hokage's official residence, the Hokage's house. Umbu and barriers kept most ninjas out, but they couldn't stop Orochimaru, a versatile and strong man. One of Orochimaru's ambitions was to learn all the ninjutsu, sealing techniques, and barrier techniques in the ninja world, and his attainments were simply unmatched by ordinary ninjas. After the clone vanished, Jen glanced at the Ninetales, now fully engaged in its rampage, jumped off the roof, went back to his room, and started getting ready for battle. The Ninetales' roars and destruction had woken up countless people in Konoha. Ninjas poured onto the roofs and into the streets, and they were all stunned by what they saw. Chapter 97 Action, Suggestion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a while, driven by a strong sense of duty, some ninjas raced home, changed into their combat gear, and hurried towards the Kyubi, leaving their worried families behind. As time went on, more and more ninjas, from Jounin to Chunin to Genin, rushed towards the Kyubi, heedless of the danger. However, the Chunin and Jounin they met along the way turned the Genin back, tasking them with evacuating and protecting the civilians. The Genin were simply outmatched in a fight of this magnitude. Their attacks would be like mosquito bites to the Kyubi. Only the Chunin and Jounin, recognized by Konoha's green vests, were qualified to participate in the battle, while the Chunin's attacks were little more than pinpricks to the Kyubi. the sheer number of times they could perform them could at least get its attention, even a pinprick hurts. After all, the Jounin were the main force in holding the line. By working together and risking everything, they could temporarily restrain the Ninetales, but it wouldn't last. Once the Kyuubi switched from physical attacks to the tailed beast bomb, the Jounin were as good as blind. Only the Kage-level ninjas possessed the power to truly make a difference, and even then, most weren't strong enough. It needed a top-tier Kage-level powerhouse like Namake's Minato, a master of the Flying Thunder God technique. Even a top-level Kage like the third Hokage, lacking in space-time ninjutsu, could only use large-scale Earth-style techniques to redirect the nine-tailed beast bomb once or twice, at best, and even that might not work, given the sheer size of the fully unleashed Ninetales and the split-second timing required for the ninjutsu. If the full Ninetales unleashed its fury on Konoha, 2 or 3 shots would be enough to level the entire village. So when Uchiha Obito declared, "Now that the Kyuubi is unleashed, you have no hope," he wasn't just bluffing. The full Ninetales was nearly the size of a completed Susanoo. Even without the tailed beast bomb, it could destroy Konoha and any other major ninja village, given enough time, if it weren't for Namake's Minato's mastery of the Flying Thunder God technique, allowing him to teleport away the tailed beast bomb and the full Ninetales itself, and Uzumaki Kushina, a pure-blooded Uzumaki clan member, who had the sealing techniques to restrain the Ninetales. Konoha would have been finished, as the ninjas above the Chunin level rushed to confront the Kyuubi. The Uchiha clan's police force mobilized as well. Uchiha Fugaku, in his combat gear, stood on the roof of his house and launched a flare, a red firework that exploded in the sky. The police force ninjas who saw the signal raced to his location. Soon, Fugaku's courtyard was overflowing with ninjas, inside and out, their faces grim, the atmosphere heavy with tension. Without waiting for the latecomers, Uchiha Fugaku issued his orders, his expression grave. "Notify any ninjas who haven't arrived yet, and then deploy in small teams to evacuate and protect the villagers. The first detachment is responsible for evacuating and protecting our clan members. The remaining 8 detachments will focus on evacuating and protecting the other villagers. Move out." "Yes, sir." They responded in unison. In an instant, the ninjas vanished, leaping onto rooftops and treetops, their voices echoing through the village. Uchiha Gen remained behind, appearing at Uchiha Fugaku's side. "Sir, I have a suggestion." Seeing that it was Gen Uchiha, Fugaku managed a faint smile despite the gravity of the situation. "What is it?" "The village is facing an unprecedented crisis. I believe the Uchiha clan should seize this opportunity to earn goodwill from the ninjas and villagers, paving the way for a future Hokage from our clan." Fugaku's eyes widened. "You're right. What do you suggest?" "We don't need all the police force ninjas dedicated to evacuating and protecting the villagers. If things go as planned, other ninjas in the village will assist. We need to use our best assets wisely. The Jounin in our clan are among the finest. The Uchiha clan should not be absent when it comes to protecting the village." That damn flash of Sharingan in the Kyuubi's eyes. Some Konoha ninjas must have seen it. If by the time the Ninetales rebellion is over, other ninja clans, Konoha ninjas, and ordinary people have suffered heavy losses, but the Uchiha clan emerges unscathed, what will people think? Even if the Uchiha clan isn't slacking off and is wholeheartedly evacuating and protecting the villagers, those who have lost their homes, family members, and property will still hold a grudge. The Sharingan in the Kyuubi's eyes doesn't last long, it disappears in a flash. Normally, the Kyuubi's eyes have vertical pupils. But after being controlled by Obito using the psychic contract left by Uchiha Madara and the Mangekyo Sharingan enhanced by Hashirama cells, 3 Tomo will appear, eventually turning into round pupils. In the original timeline, after Namake's Minato used a contract seal to sever Obito's connection to the Kyuubi's eyes reverted through the same process, round pupils, 3 Tomo, and then vertical pupils. The full Ninetales can't be controlled by the Mangekyo Sharingan alone, not even when enhanced by Hashirama cells. Without the means left by Uchiha Madara, Obito would have never been able to control it. because the full 9 tails is on a completely different level than the 1 to 8 tails, both in terms of physical size and chakra reserves. The Yin-Yang half 9 tails chakra is only half of the full 9 tails. The Mangekyo Sharingan can only briefly control the half 9 tails through Genjutsu. The duration of control depends on the strength of the eyes, but even the most powerful Mangekyo has its limits. It cannot maintain control indefinitely. Only the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan can continuously control the 9 tails, both the half and the full versions. Ever since the complete Kyubi was sealed by Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, the Kyubi has never been complete, even as the half 9 tails. Its strength makes it the undisputed champion among the 9-tailed beasts. It just goes to show how much the Sage of 6 Paths favored the 9 tails. The 10 tails chakra is divided into 2, the 9 tails gets 1 half, and the other tailed beasts get the other half. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Uchiha Fugaku was deeply impressed. This was indeed a golden opportunity to gain the trust of both ninjas and villagers. It would be safer for the Uchiha to evacuate the villagers step by step, but that's what the police force should do. It's their job, and if you do your job well, there's no reward. If you don't do it well, you get criticized, slapped, and blamed. Yes, the opportunity is dangerous, but the ninjas of the Uchiha clan are never afraid of danger. They are a fighting clan, and this is a good opportunity to expand the glory of the Uchiha clan. Gen, you're right. In that case, it's up to you to gather the jounin from the police force. I'll wait for you here. Yes, Sir Minister. Oh, and, we should offer our services to Lord Orochimaru. Something big must have happened to the fourth. Otherwise, the Kyubi would never have broken free of its seal. With Orochimaru watching over the Uchiha clan, the casualties should be minimized. With Gen's connection and the 200 million Ryo, Orochimaru shouldn't refuse, right? Sir, the teacher is not in the village. He left for a secret research base somewhere in the Land of Fire 4 days ago. Gen Uchiha wasn't trying to weasel out of it. Orochimaru really was gone. It was clearly more convenient to research the reincarnation of the dead elsewhere. That is terrible timing. Konoha is in such a crisis, and a powerful Kage-level fighter is absent. That's that, go quickly. Uchiha Gen nodded slightly and vanished from the rooftop. Deep within Konoha's back mountains, hidden in the underground root headquarters, Shimura Danzo is listening to his subordinates' reports. Although Danzo has been removed from his position and forced into retirement, and Root is nominally managed by Sarutobi Hiruzen, Root is actually still under Danzo's control. It's just they are no longer operating as an elder, who told Hiruzen Sarutobi that he didn't pay much attention to Root affairs at all. Phew. I barely got this out before the reset. I'm beat. Good night everyone. Chapter 98 Danzo's Operations. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Are you saying there's Sharingan in the Nine-Tails' eyes? Danzo Shimura asked, his face betraying no emotion. Yes, Lord Danzo. The way the Nine-Tails' pupils changed, from slits to round, shows traces of the Sharingan. Our own eyes witnessed the dark markings at their core. The Umbu operative, clad in black spandex, off-white overalls, and a red, patterned mask shaped like a human face, knelt on one knee, head bowed. Konoha's ANBU uniforms are similar to the Roots. They generally wear black spandex underneath a grayish-white overall, with a bandage wrapped around the right thigh. The main difference is that ANBU masks are usually animal-based, while Root masks are more varied. However, you can't judge based on the mask alone. It's easy for a Root ninja to impersonate an ANBU, and vice versa. Actually, impersonate isn't quite right. Root is basically the training division of ANBU, nominally affiliated with them. After the confirmation, Danzo's face darkened. What's the police force doing? He snapped. My subordinates rushed over as soon as they got the word and are currently investigating. Go, now. Yes, sir. The Root ninja vanished into the dimly lit Root base, and Danzo closed his eyes, lost in thought. About a minute later, the Root operative reappeared, kneeling again. Lord Danzo, we have a complete report. The police force is evacuating the villagers, but the Jonin are mostly absent. Only a few are leading the efforts. Humph. Danzo's eyes snapped open, a sneer twisting his lips. Looks like the police force wants to support the Kyuubi battle. We can't let that happen. Sharingan in the Kyuubi's eyes makes the Uchiha very suspicious. Send someone to Fugaku immediately. Tell him to stay put and not get involved with the Kyuubi situation. Yes, sir. Also, summon all root ninjas. Await my orders. Understood. Once the root ninja was gone, Danzo muttered to himself, this could be my chance. He had lost power due to the rise of the fourth Hokage. If he could lead Root to turn the tide and resolve the Kyuubi crisis at a critical moment, he would be hailed as a hero. The fourth Hokage wouldn't dare refuse to restore his position as elder and Root minister then, would he? And if he got Hiruzen to say a good word for him, it would be a done deal. However, he couldn't move too soon. The Kyuubi was too powerful. He needed to let Hiruzen and the fourth wear it down first. An early intervention wouldn't be decisive, and could even jeopardize his entire plan. Having made up his mind, Danzo left Root headquarters and went to the top of Konoha back mountain to watch the Kyuubi's rampage. He would wait patiently for the perfect opportunity. The possibility of the fourth Hokage dying in battle never even crossed his mind. After all, the yellow flash was legendary. When it came to surviving, Danzo doubted anyone in the ninja world could compare. Sacrifice for the village. People only say that kind of thing. When push comes to shove, no one in power actually does it unless there's absolutely no other choice. Meanwhile, Uchiha Gen had gathered most of the Uchiha clan's jonin in the Fugaku family courtyard, 22 in all. These were all young, strong fighters. Older members, like Uchiha Setsuna and the two elders, were leading the evacuation efforts to protect the villagers. Uchiha Mikoto, Fugaku's wife and a jonin-level ninja, had also joined the evacuation on Fugaku's behalf. The village is being attacked by the Kyuubi. As members of the village, and as the most powerful clan in Konoha, we, the Uchiha clan, must fight on the front lines. For the honor of the Uchiha, Fugaku, delivering an impromptu speech, raised his right hand. For the honor of the Uchiha, that the Uchiha Jonin weren't intimidated by the idea of fighting the Ninetales. If other ninjas were willing, how could they back down? They all raised their right hands, including Gen and Shisui, responding with a unified roar. Let's go. Fugaku took the lead, and the other Jonin followed immediately. All Jonin, they moved fast. Black shadows streaked through the night at high speed, leaving only afterimages. After leaving the clan compound and crossing several districts, a root ninja appeared, shouting coldly, "Halt! Who goes there?" His voice was devoid of emotion. Fugaku signaled, and everyone stopped. You're a root ninja. As the leader of the Uchiha, Fugaku could easily distinguish root ninjas from Anbu. Yes. Danzo-sama has ordered that Uchiha ninjas are prohibited from approaching the Kyuubi. You are only to evacuate and protect the villagers. The Uchiha were displeased by the news. Why were they being barred from fighting? In front of his clan, Fugaku couldn't back down on this. It would be too embarrassing. What's the reason? There were traces of the Sharingan in the Kyuubi's eyes, the root ninja said flatly. What? How is that possible? Impossible. You must be mistaken. Everyone reacted with disbelief. Fugaku was shocked, a sense of dread washing over him. Sharingan in the Kyuubi's eyes? How could that be? Since Uchiha Madara left, no one in the Uchiha could control the Ninetales. It was beyond the capabilities of ordinary Sharingan. Could it be that someone in the Uchiha clan had secretly awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan? Fugaku didn't know that only eyes above the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan could control the full version of the Kyuubi, and thought that only the Mangekyo Sharingan could do it. It's true. Multiple ninjas witnessed it. You must return immediately. The root ninja, his tone unchanged, continued, the same coldness he always possessed. Fugaku, already unsettled, faltered under the root ninja's pressure. Okay, we'll. Wait a minute, Lord Fugaku. Gen Uchiha cut him off. Gen, what do you have to say? All eyes turned to Gen. Gen looked around and said solemnly, Is there anyone in our clan who is missing tonight? Some of the smarter Uchiha Jonin immediately grasped Gen's intention. All my men are present. No one is absent. Mine too. Same here. Us too. The Uchiha Jonin who understood the situation quickly responded, and the others, less astute, joined in when they saw what was happening. Yes, all the ninjas from our Uchiha clan are here tonight. No one is missing. So, the villain who controlled the Kyuubi and attacked Konoha is definitely not one of us. The attacker is likely a descendant of Madara Uchiha, who fled Konoha long ago. The attacker may have Sharingan, but that doesn't mean he's from the Uchiha clan of Konoha. Fugaku, seeing an opportunity, seized the moment. Yes, we have nothing to do with it. We can't be held responsible, that the root ninja was unmoved. Whether you're Uchiha or not, you must retreat. Those are Danzo-sama's orders. Are you going to disobey Danzo-sama? Fugaku, Shursui, and the other Uchiha Jonin hesitated. Danzo was a comrade of the third Hokage. He had been a high-ranking official in Konoha for a long time, and his subordinates were known for their ruthlessness. No one wanted to cross him, of course. This also reflected Fugaku's personality and his situation. He always seemed to lack resolve at critical moments. Hold on a minute. Suddenly, a loud, angry voice rang out. Chapter 99, Go straight to the weak point and hit someone in the face. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mr. Bucho, have you forgotten Danzo? Watch your mouth. How dare you call Lord Danzo by his given name? Instantly, the root ninja unsheathed his saber and charged at Uchiha Gen, intent on killing him. Magic shackles technique, Uchiha Gen's eyes spun, morphing into a three-tomo Sharingan. He locked his gaze on the root ninja, instantly freezing him mid-stride, saber raised. This root ninja was stronger than most, a special Jonin-level threat, but against Uchiha Gen's genjutsu, he was powerless, falling victim with a single look. Root and Anbu masks look seamless, but they have transparent eye sections. Otherwise, how could they see to fight or perform tasks? Idiot. Uchiha Gen thought, this guy's probably been brainwashed beyond repair. Hey, Gen, your Sharingan's evolved. Fugaku ignored the incapacitated ninja, his attention fixed on the new three-tomo Sharingan. The three-tomo Sharingan was the cornerstone of the Uchiha clan's power. Most Jonin only had two, and only a select few had three. Uchiha Fugaku feared Danzo, feared his root, but he wasn't so spineless that he'd let them attack without retaliation. Since the root ninja initiated the attack, the clan's core members wouldn't just stand there and take it. Yeah, it evolved while I was working for Orochimaru. Uchiha Gen forced a smile, a hint of discomfort in his expression. Everyone understood, they all knew the painful process of Sharingan evolution. Just hang in there. What were you saying? Gen Uchiha composed himself. Clan head, if I remember correctly, Danzo was dismissed as Hokage assistant by the 4th and 3rd Hokage, right? Root was just a second-tier department under Anbu, a step below the police force. Gen Uchiha didn't know if others underestimated them, but he sure did. He didn't even take the Hokage assistant position seriously. Even if he hadn't been removed, sir, as head of the police force, one of Konoha's 6 divisions, are we obligated to follow the orders of a Hokage assistant? I've never heard of any Konoha rule stating that ministers must obey the Hokage assistant. Only the Hokage. A collective gasp swept through the Uchiha Jonin, including Fugaku. His words were powerful, dismissing Danzo. Danzo would be furious if he found out. Uchiha Gen knew the risk, but with the Mangekyo Sharingan close to awakening, he felt he could be a little bolder. While caution had its place, arrogance was a refreshing change, like showing off your wealth when you finally got rich. He was right. Danzo wasn't the Hokage assistant, and no rule forced ministers to obey the assistant's orders. As for revenge, what did he have to fear? He had Orochimaru, Uchiha Fugaku, and, most importantly, he was strong enough. The Jonin were now fully on board, some with excitement on their faces. This was the true Uchiha spirit, only listening to the Hokage. Ahem, Gen, even so, we should still show respect to our elders. Sensing Fugaku's intentions, Uchiha Gen said, I apologize. I'll be more careful in the future. Fugaku nodded, still hesitant about defying Danzo's order to fight the Nine Tails. Danzo had lost power temporarily, but he could regain it. Even if he didn't, his influence with the third Hokage and the other assistants could still make things difficult for the Uchiha and the police force. Seeing Fugaku's indecision, Uchiha Gen sighed inwardly. Fugaku thought obeying would earn Danzo's favor. But obeying Danzo would only make him more demanding, only by fighting back hard and demonstrating sufficient power would Danzo be forced to show respect, and if he didn't, Sarutobi Hiruzen would force him to. Uchiha Gen had no choice but to reinforce Fugaku's resolve. Sir, I believe we must fight for 4 reasons. First, maintaining law and order in the village is our responsibility. Isn't the Nine Tails disrupting that order? Second, we need to see for ourselves if the Sharingan is present in the Nine Tails' eyes. Third, if there is a Sharingan, we Uchiha must prove our innocence. Fourth, with so many Sharingan, we might influence the Nine Tails, reduce casualties among Konoha ninjas and villagers, and minimize property damage. Regardless of whether the attacker is one of us, we should act accordingly. All the major families are present, but Konoha's most powerful family is absent. What kind of message does that send? What will other families and ninjas think? The Jonin agreed with his logic, praising Uchiha Gen's intelligence and offering their support. Sir, we must go. Finally, Chursuei firmly expressed his support. Seeing the determination in his clansman's eyes, Uchiha Fugaku made up his mind. Then, boom, boom, boom. Before Fugaku could finish, a series of explosions erupted. Nine Tails miniature-tailed beast bombs were landing near the Uchiha district. Flames shot skyward, turning night into day. A powerful wind buffeted everyone. Everyone was shocked and secretly relieved. The closest tribesmen would be the first to move, minimizing casualties, but they were still angry. People would likely be safe, but the property damage would be significant. Fortunately, the Uchiha clan's treasury and ninjutsu library were deep underground and less vulnerable. Otherwise, years of accumulated wealth could be wiped out, a devastating loss. Let's go. Uchiha Fugaku gritted his teeth. Everyone sprang into action, becoming streaks of black. Alas, Konoha has lost so many ninjas, villagers, and property after being here for so long. Dead people. If you want to blame, just blame Danzo. If he hadn't done something wrong, he would have been here a long time ago. As for Fugaku, whatever you want is fine. After all, you are destined to suffer this calamity, and they will die anyway. Maybe you can save the lives of your family, relatives, and friends. After a sigh, Uchiha Gen followed. The Root Ninja, freed from his genjutsu, returned to Root, shaken and terrified. His emotions weren't entirely suppressed, at least he felt fear facing Danzo. Otherwise, what was Danzo even doing? Boom, boom, boom. On their way, small-scale tailed beast bombs rained down, lighting up Konoha in an indiscriminate barrage. Chapter 100 Battle with Nine Tails. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With no stragglers holding them back, the Uchiha Jonin quickly arrived at the ravaged area where the nine-tailed fox, Kyubi, was wreaking havoc. Each swing of its massive tails, lashing against the ground, obliterated entire city blocks. Its chaotic dance stirred up gale-force winds that threatened to sweep people off their feet. And with the frequent blasts of many-tailed beast bombs, it was a walking disaster zone. The bodies of fallen ninjas and civilians littered the ruins. Bright red blood seeped from collapsed buildings. Mutilated corpses, unrecognizable as human, were scattered about. The battlefield reeked of blood and despair. Everyone, use fire style to stay clear. The Uchiha Jonin leaped to the side as Fugaku shouted the order. 22 Jonin simultaneously weaved hand signs. Fire style, fireball jutsu. 22 blazing fireballs, each slightly different in size, erupted, lighting up the night sky. The fiery projectiles slammed into Kyubi's side. Roar. Kyubi roared in pain, its voice like thunder, the terrifying sound waves rippling outward like a physical force. Already damaged houses crumbled further under the sonic assault. The gale force wind sent debris flying like bullets. 2 Konoha ninjas, too slow to react, were caught in the blast, collapsing to the ground with blood streaming from their orifices, 5 fiery tails whipped down like collapsing skyscrapers. Even before they struck, the compressed air generated by their movement blasted against them. The Uchiha Jonin retreated as dozens of ruined houses were pulverized into rubble, the ground shaking violently, thanks to their preparation and the Sharingan's heightened perception, all of them being Jonin level. The Uchiha clan suffered no casualties from this attack. Alright. The Uchiha clan is here to back us up. Hold the line, everyone. Lord Hokage and more ninjas are on their way. This is our home. We have to stand our ground, even if we're on our last legs. Spurred by the reinforcements, the struggling Konoha ninjas found renewed strength. Higher-ranking Jonin shouted encouragement to the ranks, while the Uchiha Jonin had Kyuubi's attention. 2 ninjas darted forward, snatching up the 2 bleeding ninjas who were still clinging to life. They could still be saved at Konoha Hospital, but if left on the battlefield, they were goners. Mr. Fugaku, Kyuubi is just too damn big. Even if we use our signature moves in unison, I doubt we can inflict any real damage. I think we should try a coordinated genjutsu attack to affect the 9 tails, buy time while saving our fellow Konoha ninjas, and wait for more backup. The 4th and 3rd Hokage are our heavy hitters against this thing. Uchiha Gen jumped to Fugaku's side, pitching his idea. Alright, let's do it. Everyone, prepare the Sharingan genjutsu. Follow my lead and unleash it together. Yes, sir. The genjutsu Sharingan, a hypnotic illusion inherent to the Sharingan, grew stronger with the user. Sasuke, for example, used the 6-tomo Rinnegan to control all 9-tailed beasts with a single glance, employing a refined version of the genjutsu Sharingan. With their initial attack foiled, Kyuubi retaliated with claws and tails. Every strike was devastating, and even a glancing blow could be fatal. The shockwaves alone were enough to cripple. The 22 Jonin unleashed their illusion in unison. The combined genjutsu was amplified by Uchiha Gen's half-step Mangekyo Sharingan, managing to briefly affect the fully manifested Kyuubi. If Obito wasn't controlling Kyuubi, they could have held the influence for a few seconds longer. Even 1 second made a difference. It was enough to save many Konoha ninjas from certain death, protecting families. They couldn't save everyone, though. The window was just too short. Even under control, Kyuubi's instincts kicked in, realizing the Uchiha Jonin were a problem and targeting them. Despite their coordinated defense, casualties began to mount. The fight against Kyuubi was an all-out war for Konoha, a fight they couldn't afford to lose. Losses were inevitable. Even Fugaku and Shisui found themselves in precarious situations, relying on quick reactions, various techniques, and mutual support to survive. Uchiha Gen, however, stayed out of harm's way, adopting a cautious, almost detached fighting style. Even as comrades and clan members fell around him, he remained composed. Of course, besides standard life-saving ninjutsu, Gen Uchiha had a secret weapon, burning his lifespan. Users with soul fruit abilities could enhance all aspects of their power by burning their life force. The more they burned, the greater the boost. While the battle raged, a root ninja returned to the root headquarters, relaying the situation up the chain of command. Danzo, located at the highest point of Konoha's back mountain, heard of Uchiha Gen's words and Fugaku's attitude. His face twisted into a dark scowl. Having lost his power and influence, Danzo was hypersensitive, viewing Fugaku and Gen's actions as salt in the wound. Damn Uchiha! So arrogant, they dare to ignore me. The 3rd Hokage was right. The Uchiha are a rebellious, ambitious, and untrustworthy bunch. Just you wait. I'll get my revenge when I reclaim my authority. Danzo spat, grinding his teeth. After venting, Danzo calmed down. Go, closely monitor the battle against Kyuubi. Report every 3 minutes. I must seize this chance to regain my power. Yes, sir. Back at the battlefield, more reinforcements arrived. The Hyuga clan, the Akimichi clan, the Aburame clan, the Inazuka clan, the Sarutobi clan, the Shimura clan, and many others. They unleashed their unique abilities on Kyuubi. The beast roared in defiance, but they lacked any decisive attacks. This stalemate was unsustainable for the Konoha ninjas. Their combined chakra reserves were dwarfed by Kyuubi's. Eventually, they'd run out of energy, leaving them defenseless. Finally, Hiruzen Sarutobi arrived from the production site. Stepping onto the battlefield, the third Hokage was still in his prime, a genuine and powerful Kage-level ninja. Sarutobi Hiruzen's arrival relieved the pressure on the defending ninjas. His decisive leadership also improved the battle. Tired of being bombarded by ninjutsu, Kyuubi began to focus its energy on a devastating tailed beast bomb, a blast capable of leveling mountains. Seeing this, Hiruzen Sarutobi didn't hesitate. He channeled his chakra and unleashed a massive earth-style jutsu at Kyuubi's feet as it prepared to fire. Kyuubi staggered. The tailed beast bomb, larger than an ordinary fireball, arced through the air and landed in the forest outside Konoha village. Boom! Blinding white light illuminated the night sky as an orange-red mushroom cloud rose. A deafening roar echoed through the heavens. Even after being weakened by distance, the shock wave still reached the village, turning into a violent wind.